South Africa have announced their SA side to take on India A, and it's an interesting squad that was selected. And we're going to be chatting about it because yesterday we did a show about the team that's going to be taken, or the squad that's going to be taking on the Netherlands. So it's interesting to see why they made those selections. We made some speculations yesterday. Werner was in the comment section as well, making his he gave his opinion on what he thought was going to happen and why the reasons were behind certain selections. And it turns out that we were right, because I made the same assumption yesterday that there might be, because of the SAA side as well, that might be the reason why we've seen certain selections in the Netherlands squad. But there are still question marks for me. Question marks, particularly with regards to age. Certain players that are of a certain age where I feel that there's other youngsters that could have got an opportunity in the long run if they're going to be the future for South African cricket. So there were some puzzling topics that I want to talk about, and we're going to be covering all of that on the show today. So I'm going to go through some of your comments before we get the panel on the show. Gerald Kutsia should have been there too instead of Pierre and Hendricks. Otniel Bartman. I don't know why South Africa select players like Pechlekwayo, Gerald Kutsia and Grant Rulofson. Arvin says Buren doesn't have space, control, consistent swing, or any X factor like a Yorker, slower delivery, nor is he very young. Please, someone explain to me why this gentleman features in the SAA side consistently. Again, blunders from Upansang. After all, what else can be expected from him, says Dext. Churchill Moyo says, I'd rather have Marco Jansen bowl to Privati Shaw than they play it than play the average Dutch. Australia are losing is another one. So keep me updated on the Australia score as well, guys. But before we get going, before we get started, please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. The link is in the description, as well as if you click the eye on the top right of the screen. You'll get every single issue directly to your inbox, 100% free every single month. All back issues you'll have access to as well for free. If you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Please click that notification bell for all future videos as well. Without further ado, smash that like button, comment, share, and let's get straight into today's content. Let's go, guys. I'm really excited to chat to you guys again. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Mahidin. This is Aditya and this is Werner, my two co-hosts for the day. And we're going to be discussing the SAA squad that has been announced recently. So I'm going to put it up on the screen and maybe talk you guys through it before we get started. Once again, I've split it up. I know that Sunaran Mutasamy and George Linder are all-rounders, but because they're the only two spinners in the side, I put them in the spinners category. Let's just go through them. So the batters are straightforward. Pieter Maran, Sarel Erwee, Tony De Zorzi, Dominic Hendricks, Reinhard van Tonde, and Sinitebe Klashile. Then you've got your all-rounders with Marco Jansen, Michael Pretorius, Jason Smith. Those are seamer all-rounders. Then you've got your seamers with Buren Hendricks, Luto Sapamla, Glenton Steerman. And then you've got your spinners in Sunaran Mutasamy and George Linder. Now, I'm going to start off the show by first talking about what I think personally about this. And also, I'm going to play you a little clip of what Mark Boucher said. Now, when we spoke to Graeme Smith at the beginning of his tenure, and as well, many times afterwards as well, even in interviews that I've had with him, he's reiterated the fact that the SAA side, and I know a lot of you guys are wanting a lot of youngsters. I know I want a lot of youngsters. I know Werner wants a lot of youngsters. I know Aditya is in between. I know he has a balance. He wants a balanced team. For me personally, I've always been, and you can see by the football club that I support as well, I've always had a love for young talent, getting into the team early and identifying these young talents so that they can play for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, maybe even 10 years for the Proteas. I want to find the next Jacques Callises and the next Sean Pollocks and the next Herschel Gibbs that can play for many, many years to come. Now, this particular squad looks like Graham Smith has decided to keep his word. He said back in the day when they used to play that the SIA side was selected, that was the second best South African side that was available to be selected. They have gone with, it seems like to me, guys that have performed in the last 3-4 years and given them an opportunity right now. There have been some guys here that have performed maybe 2 years extra to other guys. So maybe they've performed 5 years or 6 years, and maybe more recently haven't really gotten up to speed, or they've had a middle patch between those 5 years where they weren't that good and someone else stood out. So it's a very difficult line that they're playing with regards to who they're selecting and who they aren't, because there's a blend in this squad. Before I give my opinion on this particular squad, let's just have a listen to what Mark Boucher had to say in his press conference about the SAA side.
So I think, if you have a look at the schedule, as I said, we've got quite a few guys that are playing in all three formats. So we have to sort of rest a few guys going into a test series mentally, physically. A couple of guys, as I said, are picking up a few niggles. So, the sort of fringe players you'll probably find are playing against SAA. It's an opportunity for a couple of those guys to really get some good quality cricket against a good team, as I said, and put their names into the hat for test selection. You probably find that a lot of the test players that have been playing of late won't get a chance to look at that Indian A side, and India won't be able to look at our players. So I think there's enough time for us to prepare for test series. I've added an extra game, the Proteas against, it'll be an invitational 11 on the 4th of December to the 7th of December. There is no franchise cricket in that period of time from sort of leading up to the first test match. So we added the extra game there. We'll also meet up as a team to have a mini camp before the first test. So I think there'll be enough time for our Red Bull players to sort of get prepared for that first test. So yeah, I don't know how much of an impact that Indian versus South African A will have on us as a team, but I think for individuals it will be a great opportunity to put their names in the hat.
So instantly, when I look at this side and listening to what Mark Boucher has to say, you have to kind of sift through the names that are not here and see maybe who are the guys that he's speaking about that are maybe in that test side. One of the names that stands out to me is KP. He's not in this particular squad, and he's also not in the Netherlands squad. So that gives me an understanding that maybe he is one of the guys that they are looking at for that number 3 position for South Africa. It gives me a clear indication that that's the case. When you're looking at Peter Malan, we know that he's played for the Proteas before, had his opportunity, and then obviously Aiden Markham coming back in the side. He's also not in any of these games, so you look at him. Dean Alga, the same thing. So we can name quite a few. KG, Andrich Nokia. There's so many guys now. You can filter out the guys that are obviously not here. But when I'm looking at this particular side, and then I look at the Netherlands squad over here, there are some names in this Netherlands squad that I maybe feel could have swapped with some guys in the SAA side. It shows that what the selectors are thinking behind certain players. Now, I know that Keshav is an exception to the rule, because I feel Keshav is a test player. We all know that he's one of the best spinners in the world when it comes to test cricket. But they want to test him in ODI cricket, so they give him an opportunity in the ODIs over here. Lungi Ngidi, the same thing. He's a test player, but he's getting some ODI cricket. Dwayne Pretorius is one that's interesting, because I thought that he would be maybe in the running for a test selection, but they're giving him another run in the ODI arena. Then we're looking at a guy like Zubair Hamza. It's quite strange to me that he's not selected in the SAA side. Coming back to this one, they've gone for Reinhard van Tonde, who I feel is basically in that Zubair Hamza kind of role, number 3, number 4 position. Even though Reinhard has opened for quite some time, I know him personally better as a number 3 through the years. So they're looking at these guys as a test player. Sinitema Klashile, I'm happy that he's selected him because I see him more as a long format player than a short format player, even though he got his debut first in a T20 cricket. It was quite shocking that for me personally, that he got an opportunity in the Proteas in the T20 arena where I feel his game is stronger in the longer format. Then you've got the guys that we were calling for in the ODI arena, like Marco Jansen, Michael Pretorius, Jason Smith. Michael Pretorius is another one. I feel that maybe he should have been in the white ball arena for the Proteas a lot quicker than giving him opportunity in the longer format. So I think he could have swapped with someone maybe in the other game, in the other squad, or maybe get added into that squad. So there are a couple of names that I'm talking about here. Björn Hendricks, does he still have a chance to play for South Africa in Test cricket, or should he focus more on ODI and T20 cricket if he wants to get an opportunity in the longest format, or does he even have a chance at all to be in the South African side? That's another question. Gerald Coetzee is not in the squad, and that's concern to me because I think he's one for the future, particularly a fast bowler that we're looking to replace one of the fast bowlers in the future that can really bowl extreme pace. That is a little bit of concern. And Eddie Moore, I think someone that has been consistent in the last 3-4 years, and at least in the last 3 years, he's been excellent. That hasn't been selected over here either, which was quite a concern to me. But I can understand between him and Sadal Ierweer why they went with Sadal, because I think if you look at Sadal's record over the last 5 years or 6 years, he's been a lot more consistent for longer than Eddie Moore in a short space of time over the last 3-4 years. Eddie really started bowling momentum. But for me personally, I thought that Eddie would really get the nod. I think he's put in enough performances to be able to get the nod in Test cricket. So yeah, that's my thoughts first and foremost with regards to this. I might have missed out maybe 1 or 2 names, but I can't think of everybody. But that's what my panel's here for. So let's get into it. Aditya, let's get your thoughts, and then Werner, we can go straight to you thereafter.
Well, first off, I think we've talked plenty about the importance of having these A tours, and the more you construct a core of an A team as well, it's only likely to develop the bench further. It's interesting to see Björn Hendricks in the A team, given that he's normally in and around the squad of the national team. So that's an interesting selection there. But I think other than that, it's a fairly balanced team that has experience. Peter Malan being captain, he's played a little bit at the international level as well, and it's good exposure for some of the young guys like Miguel Pretorius. But you're right, that's a great observation that Keegan Peterson has probably been considered as a long-term number 3 for the Proteas, which is why he doesn't feature in the A team. But I think it might have been useful for Kyle Verreynne to be in the team, because I've said before on the show, I'm not a huge fan of players being around the squad for long periods of time and not getting game time. I don't think it's healthy for their development. They'd rather be playing cricket. So I think that's a bit of a miss. I know he's playing the Netherlands tour, but Kyle Verreynne is one talent that I think the Proteas should continue to nurture a little bit.
Yeah,
Werner, can I just add something before you get started?
Sure.
It just seems to me it's going to lead into your part. I think it seems to me that from Vitempe Sang and the selectors, whoever the selectors are, obviously Patrick Maroney is also on the panel. I don't know who else is on the panel as well. I don't know if Graham has any say, or I know Boucher will probably also have a say, obviously, in the selections as well, because it sounds very much like he selects, that he decides on a lot of things in that clip that we played. But it seems like they are caught up between formats. It feels like they are trying to obviously fast track certain players into certain formats based on what we need right now, and getting caught up between where we need these players. Instead of picking maybe over a few formats and seeing who our best players across format are, and then picking them and sticking with them over in the long run, because they're trying to find certain positions that they need to be specialists. But currently, it seems like it's a little bit caught up in in between formats here. Do you agree with that, Werner? And also give me your opinion on the particular squad.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I was going to say that as well. We have that tendency to not pick players for the formats that they are best suited at. So it has been frustrating. In terms of Verena, I think he'll probably play every game against the Netherlands, so he'll get some game time under his belt. So I'm okay with that, even though we're heading into the long format against India. I think at this stage he's probably not going to be in the first 11 in the Test side, even though he played against the West Indies. I think Bavuma was injured in that series, so he'll probably come straight back in. Even though I would prefer Verena playing, I see them picking Bavuma to come back in for him. And I think they'll be sticking with Peterson in that Test side as well. He'll probably form the middle order with Rassi and Bavuma, and then Quinny and Mulder coming in at the back. That's probably also why Pretorius is with the ODI side, because I don't think he's coming back in for Mulder anytime soon in the Test squad. I think they'll be sticking with Mulder, which I'm fine with. He's had a good start with the ball. He just needs to sort things out with the bat. He hasn't really delivered with the bat yet, so he'll try to rectify it. As in terms of this squad, I'm fairly happy with it. I think it's a strong squad. It can definitely compete well. But I also say we need to get some more youngsters in. I think Eddie Moore is definitely very unlucky to miss out. He has had stellar seasons year in, year out, and he still hasn't gotten that opportunity yet. I do understand why Peter Malan and Saro Arvia has been picked. And they've also been very good. I have no complaints against them. And I mean, I've thought about it a bit today. If I were in their shoes and I were 32 right now, and I had, like, Peter Malan had one series and then got dropped, or I was like Saro Arvia, who's been around this squad for months now and then never got a game, I would feel a bit aggrieved, and I would probably want some game time at the SAA side. So I'm okay with it. Even though they're over 30, they're good enough to play for another 6-7 years. And this is a chance to show what they can do on the level just below the Proteas. Then I have a bit of a problem with us picking Parnell, but then not considering someone like Willifeer or Bedingham. Bedingham in particular, before he even went to the Kolpak route, I was looking at him at the Cobras and I'm thinking, this is a guy that should be in this side within a year. And so he went. Oh, I don't know if he went to Kolpak with you. I think he has some ties to England. But in any case, he went and played in England, and he did. Visa. Yes. Yeah. And so he did very well there. He was one of the leading run scorers up until the end of their franchise cricket. So that's another player I would definitely like to have seen in this SAA team. Because if you can pick Parnell, who has just come back from a Kolpak, you should be considering someone like Bedingham in particular. Well, if you maybe, but I know they have a bit still have a bad taste in their mouths from how he left all of a sudden when he was just smashing Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and we were thinking, okay, this is the guy who's going to take us forward. He's going to bounce sides out. Then he was gone. So I can understand that they feel a bit aggrieved, but they can't have anything against Bedingham because he hasn't gotten that opportunity yet. So he's a guy I would love to see in that at middle order. And then if you're looking at guys with experience like Arvia and Peter Malan, then someone like Van Booyon can feel a bit aggrieved missing out, because he has been batting very, very well last season and this season in the 4-day series in particular. I mean, obviously we've tried him, we've given him an opportunity in the T20s. He has done all right. Not too bad, but nothing to stand out and make himself a permanent player in the side. But in terms of 4-day cricket, he has been really on fire, and he's now smashed another 200s in his first 2 games. So if you're all right with picking all the players, then he's one that you could have also considered. But I'm very glad to see Reynald van Tonder. Really glad. I think he's going to pile on the runs, because where are they playing those 3 games? In Bloemfontein. He must be smiling big time. Big time. And obviously Michal Pretorius is also now gotten used to those conditions. I think he's also a good selection. He has been very good in 4-day games as well. I don't have a problem with him being in the SAA side and not the one day side, because I don't think he would have gotten a game ahead of Pechlukwayo and Pretorius. So I'm fine with him being in the SAA side as long as he's getting picked. I would pick both him and Marco Janssen in that side. And Steelman, another guy I'm really looking forward to seeing. Really a Philander type of get the ball in good areas, move the ball off the seam, just a little bit quicker than Philander. I'd love Philander actually to work a bit with him. I think he would be a very good mentor to him. So another guy I'm really looking forward to. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the squad. There's one or two guys who can feel Kashile. Sorry, my pronunciation is really poor. I'm a bit split in two about him, because he had a stellar first season, right? He burst onto the scene. He made like 10 50s in his first season, crazy numbers. Then he's gone off the boil in the second season, like a lot of players do. It happens to a lot of people who burst onto the scene in the first season. The second season is a bit more tough. People start to figure you out. He hasn't really picked it up a lot since then. He made that one good century against Zimbabwe A, but I can't read too much into that, because in that game we made like 620 for 4 declared. So everybody made big runs on a flat deck in Zim. So I'm a bit in two. He definitely has the talent, but if you go by stats alone, then there might be someone else who could have gotten a chance. Somebody who's also been sitting on the sideline for a long time, who has performed season in and season out, is someone like Rudy Second. He has had great seasons for a long time now. I don't think he has had a good start to this season, but he has been performing. But he's also over for 30. So, but if you want to look at another wicketkeeper, though I don't think he has kept this often this season, is Grant Rulerson. I don't know if he has an injury at this stage.
He has injuries since he went for surgery as well.
That's a shame, because that's probably who I would have picked ahead of him.
I think that's the reason why they didn't pick him, is because he's still coming back from injury. He hasn't played a game this season because of that.
Yeah, it's tough. So there's a few guys that have missed out, but I think overall the team is decent. I don't know if I would have gone with Björn Hendricks. I would have probably given a youngster a go there. Give him at least one of the 3 games. Give Gerald Kutsia or one of the other upcoming fast bowlers a chance, even though they haven't got bucket loads of wickets yet. You know the potential is there, just like you knew the potential was there with Dale Steyn. It's the same type of potential that's there, even if they haven't been quite refined just yet. You know it's there, and just a little bit of time in the SIA side could make a whole lot of difference. Just that experience, coming up against India and then coming back to the domestic scene and then playing a little bit more under Alan Donald. Maybe he comes through in the next year or two. So I don't know, but overall, the side is decent.
We still have the quota system in place. Of course, we know that obviously the selectors have to think about picking the next best players of color that are in line, knocking on the door. Oh, and obviously then some white players will miss out, unfortunately, because of that. So we actually need to actually go deep here and actually go check if the best players of color have been selected. What I've seen here as well, we tend to pick a hell of a lot of openers. Like when we select, it's almost like we don't have a middle order problem, So I know that Aiden Markram and Dean Algar, sometimes they are inconsistent as a pair. Maybe one goes big and then the other one doesn't, and the other one goes big and then the other one doesn't. So them finding their partnership and their synergy is something that we obviously hope they can do this season. Now that Aiden it feels to me that he's understanding his game a lot better than he was a couple of years ago. So I'm hoping that we can see the same thing in the longer format. But we pick a lot of openers. Sarel Eovier, we've picked Peter Malan, Tony De Zorzi is another, and he's a Black African player, guys, by the way, so he counts as a Black African. So if you look at the last couple of seasons, he's probably the best Black African batter in the country. So there's no denying that. And then we have to look at obviously the players of color as well. I'm so glad that Jason Smith is now getting an opportunity. He's gone to the Dolphins and they really are trusting him and backing him in that squad. And he's really given himself an opportunity to go go and play there. He scored 100 against his old side, the Western Province Blitz, and then he scored another good 50 in the next game thereafter as well. So he's been good, and I was hoping that he could come to the fore, because he was always that type of batter that I felt could bat 4 maybe or 5 and also give a couple of overs with the ball as well. So that all-rounder that we've been looking for in that number 5 position that we've always been looking for, this boy's always had the potential. He's always had the potential to be that type of player. It's just, I feel that he was very unlucky at Western Province, because every single time he got some momentum, then one of the senior players would come back from the Proteas. So either Werner Philander will come back, or you would have Rory Kleinveld that was still in the setup at that time, who was more experienced. So the experienced guys would always get the nod over him, even after a good performance from him. So yeah, when it comes to the players of color and the ones that are getting selected, we have to also take that into equation, unfortunately. And then recently there's another batter batting all-rounder that we spoke to recently on the show, Patrick Kruger. He's trying to build some momentum, and he still feels that he needs to improve his game. Malusi supporter has also put his name in the hat in my interview that I did with him as well. He said that he wants to play for the Proteas again. And if they're going to be picking guys that are older, Subota is a very consistent bowler, particularly in the 4-day arena. He doesn't concede a lot of runs, and he keeps the run rate very. He puts a lot of pressure on the other side, because it makes it very difficult for some guys to score. So if he's going to put his hat in the Proteas as well, he maybe needs to be looked at as well. Luckily, this time around as well, we do have players of color that are actually performing, that they can be picked on merit alone, KP over the last couple of years has proven that. Zubair Hamza's I know since Zubair Hamza became a captain, he hasn't been at the same levels that he was before he was captain. He's trying to get himself into that groove. I know he scored a couple of centuries now recently, but he needs to get himself back into scoring big hundreds like he used to again. Jason Smith is another guy. Tony Lazois is another guy. There's so many guys that have been. Sinara Mutasami has been consistent as well. A guy that I've been looking at as well is Sabrayan, someone that we haven't also seen for quite some time. He's kind of been there in the shadows, working hard, putting in performances, and we haven't really seen him really get an opportunity as well. I think Mihlali Mopongwan, I'm a big fan of his, but I think maybe he needs a couple of seasons. He's only 21, so he needs a couple of seasons, maybe in 4-day cricket. You see, that's something that Sibota told me that really stood out to me, that some players just need to play 4-day cricket. Go out there and get your experience. Play some games. Get some experience before we just throw them into the Proteas arena. Not every single person can be thrown in the middle of nowhere and told, go face Boomerang, go face Jafar Archer, go face Jimmy Anderson. And then if they don't perform, then we want to cut them for their head. I think some of these guys need to play more cricket. For example, Reiner van Tonda, his record is amazing in Bloemfontein. And a lot of his like you've mentioned, Werner, and he scored majority of his runs there. But we need to see him score in the other places like Durban and in Cape Town and Boland Park and maybe in East London. We need to see him score more over there. So luckily, this particular SAA side is playing here in South Africa, and very batting friendly conditions as well in Bloemfontein. So luckily, that is going to be good for our batters. I think our bowlers are going to have a tough time. So especially against India A's side. Aditya, can you give us some insight into the India A side? Maybe throw a few names at us of guys that you maybe think have amazing potential. Like Boucher says, he doesn't think that this particular game is going to see a lot of guys maybe getting selected into the main side. I think he has an idea of who he wants his main side to be.
Just before Aditya, guys, imagine bowling to Prithvi Shaw on Bloemfontein.
He's in the squad. He's in the India A squad.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. I think there are a couple of names that you guys may know. So Devdutt Padikkal, for example, he's playing. Priyank Panchal is a captain of the team. Upendra Yadav, he's considered to be a very technically correct wicketkeeper batsman. So he's always going to be breathing down Rishabh Pant's neck, because Rishabh Pant, gifted batsman though he is still developing as a keeper. So he's a Navdeep Saini. He plays for the Royal Challengers Bangalore. My goodness, that's a massive 6. Sorry. Uh,
What's happening over there?
Pakistan versus Australia. Marcus Stoinis and Matthew Wera are just smacking it all over. The 149 for 5, 17.3 overs.
It's getting closer.
Yeah. Umran Malik. So Navdeep Saini, Umran Malik, and Ishan Porel. They are 3 bowlers who can bowl consistently above 145.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very quick. So Navdeep Saini and Umran Malik can cross 150, and they do that consistently. Ishan Porel is also a very good player. He's coming through the under-19 system. Very talented. Sarfaraz Khan, also very talented player. Arzan Nagwaswala, he's a left-arm player. So I think the India A team is quite a strong team, and it has a lot of variety with bat, ball, spin, everything. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Interesting competition. And I think it's great exposure, right? Because a lot of these players who are in the India A team right now are probably going to feature in the main team like 3 or 4 years later. So, they've already been exposed to those conditions. And yeah, it's great exposure. I love it.
Imran Malik bowled the quickest ball in the IPL. He just pipped Henrik Nortje, so he has serious speed, but I don't think he has had a lot of four-day cricket, so it'll be interesting how it will be on his body, especially running in at Bloemfontein where you don't get a lot as a quick bowler. So if it does get a game, it's going to be a real test for him.
And if it's hot there as well, if the weather's going to be
The thing is, with a lot of these guys, Navdeep Saini, Umran Malik, see, generally the India development system tends to favor long form cricket. It's from long form cricket that they eventually spread into white ball cricket. So by default, Indian players are equipped to play long form cricket first. I think the challenge for Umran Malik will be that for the last couple of months he's been playing white ball cricket. So I think that's the challenge. But I don't think he'll struggle with fitness for the red ball part of the game. But yeah, let's see. Interesting. I think he's a great prospect, and to think that he was a net bowler for a team in the IPL just a month ago, to then being considered as a reserve for the Indian team to then being a net bowler for the Indian team in the World Cup, to now being in the India Ace team against South Africa. So I think that's.
I've just checked. He hasn't played a single 4-day game. He's played 8 T20s and 1 List A game. So that's quite interesting being here. Obviously, everybody knows pace is pace. And that's the thing. If he didn't have that pace, he wouldn't be here. But pace is pace, so there's no substitute.
Yeah. So, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I want to get back to the World Cup game as well, so I can watch the last bit. I want to see Pakistan beat Australia, hopefully. I know it's getting very close into the wire. But, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every single month, 100% free, straight to your inbox. Subscribe to this channel too. Click that notification bell. It's over Werner's face right now. And click that notification bell for all future videos. And then smash the like button. But I would also like to hear your thoughts on who you would like to see in the side. So go to the video after this has been published and give your teams in the bottom in the comment section. Share this with all your friends and family as well. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another Q&A show. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of this week or the rest of this evening. Going into the weekend very soon, guys. So see you soon. Cheers.